Okay, so I will talk to you about my learning experience during my job. About 4 years ago, I had to work as a teacher in a kindergarten and an elementary school. During my experience, I was a very uh, new person in that kind of job. I did not have any previous experience working with kids, and it was very hard because I had a lot of them. So I had to learn in the process of being a teacher. I had a lot of I had a need to work because I needed an income. I did not have an income, so I needed that job. I had to do it. There was no way I could have gotten a different kind of job because I didn't have training. So now that I think about it, it was very hard because I had a lot of kids that um, did not want to learn. I was an English teacher. I was supposed to teach them English, and those kids really got me very, very stressed. When I was when I was teaching them, I had to prepare spiritually before I went inside the classroom because those kids were really um, were a disaster. Like those were kids that this was a private school that I worked for. So these were kids that were not accepted in other schools because they had problems with their behavior. So those kids that did not get accepted by other schools went into that school that I was working for. So I had to deal with all those kids, and they were not interested in learning the subject. So I did like English, but I was just not prepared to teach them, and they were not prepared to learn. They did not have a desire to learn. So part of the job was to make the class interesting for them. It was like entertaining them. It was not only me having the knowledge and giving it to them, but I had to make it very, very interesting so that I could get the attention of these kids. So I I did my best, and it was a very stressing experience. I had to do that job for a year. I had committed myself to do this job for a year. I was ready to quit after 1 month, but I stayed there 1 year because I did not have any better option. I needed I needed the money, and I had to work for that money. There was no another option for me at that time. So I learned how to make a class interesting for kids, and I learned that to get the kids interested in a subject, you have to be very good at making materials. So I had to work in my material and my lessons. So as soon as I got inside the classroom, there was no time for me to prepare anything or to think what I was going to do. I had to come in ready to teach them. And I remember a time when this bunch of kids didn't want to pay attention because they were full of energy, especially after they had a break. They were full of energy. They had just eaten food, so they had a lot of energy, and they were bored of having classes with their other teachers because they had their normal teachers. But at the end of the day, it was my turn as an English teacher to come into the classroom and then teach them English. And these kids were not paying attention. They didn't have any desire. They were not interested in learning a new language. It was part of my role as a teacher to always speak English. And I could not control them, because when I started speaking English, they were not paying attention. They paid attention only for the first minute, probably not even a minute, and after that they were just talking to each other. They were standing and then talking to their friends, and they were not paying attention to what I was telling them to do. It was very hard to do that. Because teaching kids is as teaching adults who are not interested, and these kids really taught me a lot. Like I had to come to the classroom ready to teach them, and I had to and even right now, when I think about that experience, I feel like it was a very, very hard job. It was frustrating. They were not paying attention to what I was saying, and there was even times when kids saw the teacher and they just didn't want to do anything. They just wanted to play, but it was hard. It was hard to control them. For people who don't know about this kind of job, they might think that kind of job is pretty easy, and you just have to come to the classroom, and then since they are kids, you just have to tell them to do some pretty easy stuff, and then they'll be happy. But no, it is not easy. You have to be very creative. You have to think beforehand, and it is only after you have some experience that you actually know what kind of activities would be fun for them, that they're going to be interested in doing. And so the blessings I got for doing that kind of job is that now I know how to present something. Like, I know how to make things interesting for people, and I think without having them getting bored. And also I learned about how to have a little bit of control over people, because it's not easy having control over groups. And these kids really taught me a lot. Even adults, when they are old, it's just the same. They are kids and they have the same necessities, and sometimes they are not interested. The advantage with teaching adults is that they know what they want, and they are in the classroom because they want to learn. So you are like a resource, and then if the teacher is interested in learning, then he's gonna pay attention, and he's gonna do anything in his power to learn about the subject, and they will use the teacher as a resource of knowledge and experience. So if they have any questions, they just go and ask the teacher. But kids will never ask the teacher. They're not interested in learning. They hate the teacher. They hate the classes. They just want to go outside and play. They don't even know what they want. They don't know what they are there. Parents took them there. That's why they're taking classes. So also another blessing I got from there was the blessing of appreciating the job that I now have, because sometimes I also feel like I don't like the job I have right now, and I start complaining. But then when I go back in time in my mind, and then I think about the job I had, I start to be very grateful for the job I have. I do not have to be dealing with those kids who are not interested in learning, and they're not interested in listening to you. They don't want to see you. They don't want to do anything that you tell them to do. They're not interested in what you have to tell them. They just want to have fun, okay, in their own way. And there is no way you can be pleasing 25 or 30 students at the same time, because all of them have their own spirits, and some of them are very hyperactive students, as I told you. And well, there were also bad things that came from there, because I started being very stressed, and I started having all these bad feelings about working there. I just didn't want to work there anymore. And Also, I had gastritis. I remember sometimes being so angry that my stomach started to hurt badly. So this is my video. I hope it tells you a little bit of what I am talking to you about. Thank you very much for watching this, and I love you. Thank you very much. Bye bye.